Welcome to Right on the Money, the weekly talk show with interviews you can use to help you maximize your money and optimize your financial future. Before moving forward with any of the ideas discussed on the show, always consult your financial advisor, insurance professional, or tax consultant. Looking for financial help or a second opinion? We can help you in your search. And now, your host of Right on the Money, syndicated financial columnist and money-colored commentator, Steve Savant.
Well, welcome everyone to Right on the Money. Today we're talking about the proper use of annuities and retirement planning. And to help us understand the annuities is author, popular platform speaker, and certified annuity specialist, Liz Cornell. Welcome to the show, Liz.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Liz, you're all the way in you flew in from Florida. I really appreciate that. I was checking out your two Forbes articles.
Yes.
I have to say, your career has really taken off. I want to talk to our audience about an anomaly because not only are you a certified annuity specialist, but you're one of the top 30 under 30, and yet your audience, your predominant client base is baby boomers.
Yes.
Talk a little about that.
I enjoy it. Yes, I get that it's a little bit of an anomaly, but I think it's just what I was born, bred in, what I'm here to do, and I love it.
Well, let's do the basic entry level. Let's say we don't know anything about annuities. What is an annuity?
An annuity, I guess in its simplest form, it is a lump sum of money for return payment or income. So if you think about Social Security or even a pension, which most people are familiar with if you have companies that offer those still, but it's basically lump sum of money, they give you income.
So let's say that I'm not versed in annuities. I don't know if I should buy them or not. Who is the clientele? What is the actual suitability for a client? Who are you looking for?
Really, you want to look for folks who are retired, approaching retirement, or even thinking about retired, which I think is most people. So a lot of people would be surprised that annuities really cover a broad spectrum now. It's not so compartmentalized to only someone who is retired. It's certainly something that needs to be a part of a full portfolio planning, if you will, full comprehensive planning. It doesn't have to be the only solution, but it is absolutely something that needs to be considered.
Well, I would like to know, because I know that there's fixed interest annuities. I know that there's indexed annuities. I know there's even sub-account annuities. But underneath all three chassis, they're pretty much the same, the basic structure. Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great way to put it. There are three basic types of annuities. You have a fixed annuity, which kind of functions like a bank CD held at an insurance company, fixed interest rate, fixed period of time. You have the index annuities, which are you're not directly invested into a market. You are simply tracking one.
Now, let me stop you there for a second. I've noticed that 72% of the annuity index market is using only the S&P 500.
Yeah, and that is absolutely true. Each company, each carrier, each product has different indices that you are allowed to follow. So in picking products and what you think you want to work with, that's certainly something to consider.
I noticed in one of the lists you showed me that we have not only domestic indices, but we could also, there's access to a global market with foreign indices.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get just about anything you want to. It's just a matter of taking a little bit more time because the annuities do take a little more time to understand. You can't compare them to every other investment on the marketplace. So as long as you take a little bit of time to understand it and the options that are available, they are contractual guarantees. So you have to be a little more deliberate with what you're picking.
Okay, so with guarantees, I'm really giving myself a little bit of comfort from a retirement point of view. If I'm looking at retirement, sometimes our seniors are looking for something a little more conservative, maybe not so much market driven. Do you find that is probably why maybe annuities have such an appeal?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think there is a harmonious balance of both. And really, it just boils down to preferences. I tell people this all the time. There's no right and wrong decision with your financial choices. No one is ever going to tell you that what you're doing is a good idea. I use the analogy. It's like you're going to go out and play golf with your friends and say, hey, this is what I'm doing with your money. They're not going to be, or tell you, hey, let's stop what we're doing. Let's get off the golf course and we will go down to whomever because I want to put all of my money with what that person is doing. So a lot of it's just personal preferences. It is personal choices. Annuities play their role in most people's portfolio, but they have to really understand it and it has to identify with who they are. It's not right and wrong. It's just being more deliberate, especially because in the annuity platform, you have to pick product.
Okay, now let's say, because we have, if I'm understanding this correctly, we have three crediting methods. We've cited the interest rate, the indexing, and the sub-accounts. People have to kind of be suitable for this. They're going to have to kind of probably take some kind of a risk tolerance test or probably get in the game to understand where they want to go on this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's with anything outside of annuities. You have to I guess the biggest part of what my job and what I do is helping people articulate what they like and what they don't like. And you have to be comfortable saying, I don't like this, I don't like that. There is nothing wrong within your preferences, but you should never push yourself to take on more risk or being even more conservative than what you're comfortable with because somebody else is dictating it. So again, it just circles back around to take a little bit more time with it. They all serve their purpose. You can get just about anything you want to, but again, it takes a little more time.
Remember, if you say, Steve, I hear you talk about risk tolerance all the time. If you want to order the test, I'll give it to you. Just write me at steve@onthemoneyshow.com and I'll be happy to send it to you. When we're talking about suitability issues and we've made our choice, we finally figured out, it's kind of like Shakespeare, to thy own self be true, right? I have to be true to myself. I've taken my test and now I have a timeline I've snapped. I know I'm going to retire at a certain date, right? So we see the future. But I'm not so sure when how long I'm going to need it. I mean,
I call that getting promoted because I think dying sounds morbid.
Oh, it sounds morbid. So you're saying getting promoted.
We're getting promoted. It's a positive.
So we're not dying.
Yeah, we're getting promoted.
We're not not passing.
Right.
We're getting promoted.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's just talk about our promotion date then.
Yes.
Okay. How about that? So on our promotion, a lot of people say, well, Steve, I don't know how long I'm going to live. You think about this. Jean Clement the Guinness Book of World Records lived 122 years, 164 days. And I think people in the millennial generation are going to see age 100, especially female in good health. Oh, my goodness. I think you guys are going to see 100 years all day long.
I will be here till I'm 150.
150?
Yes.
I can't believe you said that because Professor Aubrey de Grey, a European professor in gerontology, says that a person that will live 150 years has already been born.
I agree. I'm here.
And it's
yes,
you.
You're welcome.
I'm glad. Okay. Well, I got to figure that out. Okay. So let's talk about this, Liz. I have deferred annuities. I don't need them right away. I have immediate annuities. So what am I looking at when I'm still in the retirement mode of accumulation?
Really what you're trying to determine is when you want to take income. No matter what financial objective you have, everybody is chasing income, right? I want to get growth. Well, why do you want growth? Well, because I want more money. Well, why do you want more money? Well, you want growth because you want more money for later. Right? I want to protect what I have. Well, why? Well, in case I need it. Well, why? Well, just in case, world comes to an end, I have my money sitting there. So you have to articulate when and where you want to use things. And annuities are the only thing on the planet that are contractually bound and contractually guarantee that you can get this income no matter what, right? They're insurance products, basically because if you live to be 150, it's always going to be there. You should, however, kind of predetermine when and where you think you want to use it. It's not to say it can't be deviated from. Obviously, something deferred is probably priced for using something later. It's not to say you don't have the option of using it sooner, but you should have a clearer plan going into it on which route you want to go.
Yeah, but the one thing you just said I think is really important is people are not using deferred annuities just to defer and pass it on to the next generation.
Yeah.
I think what I've heard you correctly is you should be thinking about a deferred annuity. Sometime in the future, you're going to annuitize or maybe take a time certain, whatever. You're going to use this for income.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And that's with any investment, right? I mean, by human nature, we naturally compartmentalize things. We look at our portfolios, regardless of investment it is that you have there, and say, okay, I'm going to use this money at this point in time. And if these things don't happen or do happen, then I'm going to switch to this money and use that for this point in time. By nature, we already do that. The nice part about the annuities is it eliminates really the question of who, what, where, when, why, if you will, because it's already there. It's contractually guaranteed, and they are bound to adhering to that.
Okay, when you're teaching, and you're a popular platform speaker, you teach on this all the time. When I'm looking for something for a senior, a person who's already retired, too late for him?
No, absolutely not. Once you get to retirement, most people feel like they have this finite number, right? Like, I have retired, I have this number, and now I have to make it work, and now I have to make it last. Ultimately, you are chasing income in retirement. So again, it circles back around with using annuities with where they fit within your own personal preferences and what makes sense. So if you're already retired, of course you should be considering annuities. You're trying to get income, right?
Guaranteed income.
Guaranteed income, yeah, absolutely.
And guaranteed income I can't outlive.
Right.
Now, that mantra is huge because when I think about guaranteed income I can outlive, and you live to Gene Clement's 122 years, I mean, that is some serious, serious mortality. And I have to say, think about it. The millennial generation could be the first generation that has dominant centurions built within their demographics. Remember, if you're listening to our show on radio, iTunes, podcast, you can view our video version right on themoneyshow.com. Well, that's our show for this week. I want to thank Liz Cornell for being my guest. But before I go, remember what the good Reverend John Wesley once said: make all you can, give all you can, save all you can. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you next week right here on Right on the Money.
For more information on this week's money topics, just go to our website at www.rightonthemoneyshow.com and follow Steve's daily postings on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. When it comes to retirement, money management, small business, insurance coverage, college funding, or budgeting, we have the interviews you can use.